Road is in the process of being renamed in honor of a county judge. The Gregg County Commissioners Court voted to approve an endorsement that would rename a portion of George Richey Road between US 259 and Judson Road to Bill Stoudt Parkway after the current Gregg County judge. KLTV7's Michael Richardson reports.
That's Gregg County Judge Bill Stoudt walking back into Commissioners Court after the group voted to endorse the renaming of an East Texas road in his name. If approved and finalized by TxDOT, George Richey Road between US 259 and Judson Road would be renamed to Bill Stoudt Parkway.
It's just a gratitude of a way that we can get the representatives to remember him and the work that he does as county judge.
The road is divided into several portions. The city of Longview already renamed their portion to honor the Gregg County judge. Now the county has done the same. Commissioner Ronnie McKinney feels it's not only an expression of gratitude, but will help travelers as well.
If we had not done that, there'd be 3 different names on that road. And so to make it easy for GPS and for people to find themselves around the north part of Longview, it'll be Bill Stoudt Parkway.
Michael Richardson, KLTV7 News.
And Bill Stoudt has served as the Gregg County judge for more than 2 decades.